Good morning. It is July 2nd. July 2nd already. July 2nd, we're here for a regular scheduled commissioner meeting. I believe we have Commissioner Bauman and Commissioner Mullen on the phone. I heard Commissioner Bauman. Is Commissioner Mullen there? Commissioner Bauman?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
We have a quorum. So at this time, I'll call the meeting to order and ask everybody to please rise and join me in the pledge. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the adoption of the current agenda.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would like to see us move items number B, C, and D from regular business to consent.
I don't hear Commissioner Mullen, so I will second that motion and ask all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. B, C, and D to consent. So with that change to our agenda, we have 8 items on consent agenda, and I would ask for the adoption of the agenda now. I think that your motion changed the agenda to adopt the agenda, correct?
Correct, Mr. Chairman. I would like to move to adopt the agenda as amended.
I second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Takes us down to public comment. Is there anybody in the room for public comment?
Good morning. Oh, hello. Shocking. Good morning, gentlemen. It was very good to see the gentleman from USDA come and tour all the places. It took a while to get to K-Lotus, but they got there, and they got a really good review of everything, and they understood that boiling water actually raises them up a level to get some help, and I really want to see that happen. The other thing that Mr. Andrzejewski brought up, and I didn't know where that landed, was there was supposed to be a measure brought to the COG for the Benton County and Franklin COG about the water, and I wondered if the board could contact me as to where that went or what happened, or if he needs to reapply. He did have a grandbaby being born, so he didn't get to meet out there, and I noticed that Mr. Roach didn't actually get to meet as well, but I think it was a positive start, and I really want to thank the board for that. Thank you.
Is there anybody else for public comment? Anybody on the phone? Saying that nobody is on the phone and nobody come to the mic, we'll move down to the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 8 as presented.
I second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Takes us down to regular business, Resolution 2025-204, interlocal agreement with Benton and Franklin County Coroner's Office, autopsy exams, rescinding Resolution 2025-168. Mr. McGarry.
So what this was is back in June 4th, I'd worked with Jeff Briggs on getting a memo with Benton County for autopsies, and it was approved on our side. It went back to Benton County, and they had some opinions that they didn't agree upon with what we had agreed upon, and so it's just we've redone it. Basically, Jeff really worked hard for our county and looked out for us, so we were the betterment of it, and I want to thank Jeff for that, because there was language in there that really made us liable for things that Benton County would do that they wouldn't take ownership for themselves. And so thank you, Jeff, for that. So that's what this boils down to, is we just changed some wording which benefits us. And so I ask for the approval of that.
Questions, Commissioner?
No question, sir.
I don't believe Commissioner Mullen is on the phone yet. Okay. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of Resolution 2025-204 as presented.
I second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none,
No, sir.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. McGarry. Takes us down to open public hearing. And it's for ordinance 07-2025, repealing ordinance 2-88, I believe it is, Franklin County smoking policy, presented by Margot Weiler. And at this time, I'll open up the open public hearing on the ordinance 02-2025, or 07-2025. Good morning.
Excuse my ignorance, I've never done this before, but essentially we'd like to repeal the ordinance 288, which governed the smoking policy for the county, just because the laws have changed, and then this was done back in 1988. So it would be to rescind the ordinance 288. Do I need to add more?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions, Commissioner?
I read through the policy that they've amended and did not have any questions.
Neither do I. So this is an open public hearing, so is there anybody from the public that would like to come forward and speak on this? I don't see anybody coming forward, nobody on the phones? So, there is somebody coming forward.
I just want to know what the change is. What was the old policy? What's the new policy?
The old policy was like 30 pages long. It was pretty descriptive. The new policy is essentially just the rules for what Washington's laws for smoking in public locations.
I believe Mr. Danzel has something to add here.
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Margot, but wasn't there also, in 1988, I don't think they vaped. And so I think that you added vaping to the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be accurate.
And the policy is that they don't do it in the courthouse, they do it out in the courtyard.
Yeah, there are designated locations
yes.
on the county property for smoking.
Yes.
And then, like I said, to update for what Washington passed for laws for smoking in public locations.
And those designated areas would apply to employees only, right? Not members of the public? Or am I mistaken in that?
Well, I would think it could be both. That I know one's more public, probably employee-based. There is a smoking pole out more where the public would see and walk by versus the other one.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I didn't write the policy. My team did, but I didn't read through to make sure. But I
Right.
think it could kind of be both, but definitely covered for employees. as
My
well.
recollection was that it applied to employees, and then the public would just be subject to the general rule that you can't smoke within a specified distance of a public entrance.
I believe you're accurate, Mr. Briggs. Thank you.
And my apologies for not knowing the answer to that.
Thank you.
That was my only concern because I later worked for the American Heart Association just previous to my coming on board as an employee. They had worked 7 years to pass a law about smoking in public, so I wanted to be sure we weren't messing that up.
All right, so at this time, I'd entertain a motion, if there's no more comment or discussion, on repealing ordinance 288.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of ordinance 07-2025 as presented.
I second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So at this time, I will close the open public hearing ordinance 07-2025. And at this time, I will open the open public meeting on resolution 2025-207, rescinding the ordinance 288. So we basically went through it. and we've already discussed it, so I would entertain a motion on Resolution 2025-207.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of Resolution 2025-207 as presented.
I second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. At this time. Oh, Commissioner Mullen, welcome. Good to have you on board, bud. So at this time, I will close the open public hearing on Resolution 2025-207. Move down to Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the interest of time, I'm going to try to move through this pretty expeditiously. So had a chance to meet with the commissioners individually regarding the agenda. I met with our budget policy team to discuss policies. Looks like we'll have a reserve policy for the board to consider on the docket here sooner rather than later. There's still a couple of issues, not issues, but there's still a couple of perfections that need to be made, I believe. I have had an interesting phone call and follow-up with Mr. Pearson. Mr. Pearson wanted me to extend his sincere thank you to the Board of Commissioners and the community as large, and told me that he wanted to contact you all individually so that he can plan another visit, another event, and actually bring, I think, more of his team and resources for us to be able to really explore what we can do. Excited about that. And then one thing, and I'll finish with this, I just wanted to, kind of a reiteration of our policy when it comes to being put on the agenda. Teresa and Genesis do an amazing job of trying to accommodate folks as much as they possibly can. And now that we do have a full complement of staff, I would ask that folks give as much lead time as possible if you're looking to be put on the agenda, because we're still coming to a point where we get a lot of folks that ask to be put on the agenda all at the same time on like the Friday before. And we want to work with folks. So what we're going to do is we'll send out some guidance on this, but I think what would be the best idea is to operate thinking 2 weeks down the road. And so if I could ask folks, if you've got to be put on the agenda, to ask for that 2 weeks, and if you can't, and sometimes you can't, and sometimes in life you just don't have the 2 weeks to wait because something will come up. I just ask you to give me a call on my cell phone, and then I can expedite what we need from you so that we can get to the crux of the matter. But for the most part, I would really like it if we could try to give that 2 weeks notice, because it'll give us time to better be able to facilitate these meetings. So I wanted to say that. And then second, and then this will really be the end, Teresa and Genesis have done a great job. I think we've got a good team down there. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Teresa Alvarez, our clerk of the board, has, since I got here, and there's been a lot of changeover, has regularly worked till 8 o'clock at night if she's needed to. She comes in, and I get emails from her at 1 in the morning. I just want to say thank you to Mrs. Alvarez, because it's a lot of work, and she's done a fantastic job. And with that, that's my report, sir.
And I'll give kudos to that. She's doing a fantastic job, exactly. Thank you. So we'll go with Commissioner Baumann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Teresa and Genesis for all that they do in helping us prepare. It's much appreciated. Last week, I had a legislative steering committee meeting with the Washington State Association of Counties, specifically about the public defense caseload standard. Subsequent to that, had a couple of different sit-down meetings with Larry Ziegler, our OPD manager, and he graciously agreed to draft a letter, and so I believe that my fellow commissioners will be receiving that, just kind of what his take is on the rules that are coming down from the state, and so would encourage you to read that. And then I think probably, Mr. Downsell, that it would be appropriate for us to forward that on to WASAC for their consideration. Also had lunch with our therapeutic courts and some of the people that are involved in housing of the people in our community that have those specific needs. Just, I'm trying to have a better understanding of what the needs are and how we allocate funding as a county to serve those. And so thank you to all the people that have been involved in trying to help me learn. Met with our coroner about the morgue building and some of the questions that we had at last week's meeting. So thank you, Mr. McGarry, for meeting with me. On Monday was a pretty neat day with our therapeutic court system. Thank you to Judge Orozco and everybody that's involved in making that operation work. There was the first graduation of the lady that has been a part of that program, and tremendous success. So congratulations to her for her faithfulness in going through that program, and now the success of her efforts. And so that was really, really neat. And had a pre-agenda meeting with our administrator, and I'll just leave it with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Mullen.
So yes, Monday met with Administrator Mr. Dancel about the agenda. Also last week gave the state of the county address to the Tri-City Chamber of Commerce. Fielded another call about the smell from the water treatment facility. And other than that, that's about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mullen. So I hope everybody's enjoying their 9-cent gasoline tax increase this morning when you got up to fill up your car, thanks to our state government. Last week consisted of the Columbia Basin Sustainable Water Coalition, Franklin County Emergency Management, Ben Franklin Council of Governments, the agenda meeting on Tuesday, and the last 2 weeks I have been inundated with funerals. I'd like to say farewell and thank to my good friend Wayne Virts, who passed away with a massive heart attack, Judy Anderson, who I coached 2 of her sons in Connell High School football, and Mitch Withers, who he drove tractor for us, a neighbor, and my son said, "Dad, every one of his loops is perfect." And I said, "Yeah, I know, Trav. He's driven a lot of tractors. Someday maybe we might be able to drive like that." But he was an incredible operator and a good friend, good friend. But I'd also like to say to Kathleen Newman, I want to apologize again for last week's mess up on her service to our county. She deserved better than that. And that's why we're doing this with our agenda, is we're going to make sure we never have that mess up again. When somebody puts in that many years of service for our county, we want to make sure they're honored in the right way. And I was embarrassed, and I was very disappointed that we didn't get that right, but it was brought to us the day of, and we didn't have time to review it. So we should not have taken that on until we could give it a proper thank you to Ms. Newman. So I'd just like to say I apologize for that again. That concludes the Commissioner Administrator. Is there any need for correspondence? No need for correspondence. We'll open it up for public comment.
So Commissioners, I had the opportunity to go around with Kirk Pearson last week from USDA Rural Development, and as part of that tour, we went out, Commissioner Bauman and myself went out and saw the Pasco water treatment facility that's out there. I am here to report that that large pond that was creating some of the air quality issues that we had, the stench, is completely clean. So if we're receiving complaints related to air quality out there, I don't believe it's coming from the plant. All of those ponds have been cleaned, and the only water that they're going to be receiving in the future is during the winter, when the processed water that's already been treated ends up in the pond. So the odor problem from there should be going away. If there's other odor, it's coming from a different source, and we'll need to figure out what that is. Just want to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? And I would be remiss if I didn't thank Mr. Pearson for coming to Franklin County again because we got to show him Mesa, Basin City, Hell to Pay, which is Eltopia, Connell, where we had the plant shut down, and Colotis, where they have to boil their water. So he knows our concerns, and he's already planning another trip back with Mr. Danzel. And he is really one of the first director to get permission to travel, correct, Mr. Danzel? You might want to throw that in there?
That is correct. Yes, he was given the go-ahead, the first in the country to travel, and we were the folks that he wanted to come see, so I thought that was pretty great also.
So thank you, Mr. Pearson. So with that, we're down to executive session. Is there any need for executive session?
No.
No need for executive session. Is there any other business for the good of the county? I think we set a record today. 21 minutes. Of course, Bauman's report was a little on the light side.
Easy, mister. Easy, mister.
So at this time, we'll adjourn the meeting.